Anybody can claim being Asian, but it's kind of like math. You got to show your work.
Welcome everybody to the Hot Pot Boys. David and Andrew here. We got to talk about some trying to be Asian news right now. Olivia Rodrigo, huge pop star, has just said that she is proud to be an Asian artist and proud to represent for Asians across the world. And that growing up, she thought all pop stars just had to be white girls. Now, this is surprising and causing a large debate for a lot of people because she's basically identifying as non-white, and people are surprised because they just didn't think that she was Asian at all.
Right. I think a lot of people thought Olivia Rodrigo was either white, like maybe Italian, like Ariana Grande, kind of had the same look, or like a white Latino artist. Now, personally, I have known that she was, I had known that she had Filipino background for like maybe 6 months now. But, I didn't really follow her music. I didn't know much about this, but I'll tell you this. It set Twitter, Instagram, Reddit on fire, particularly in very select, like racially minded circles.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reactions, and it's not that we can paint one group as having one single reaction, but what are like the main things that people are tweeting about?
Okay, so listen, man, I don't want to say it's surprising or unsurprising. Different races generally have had different reactions. So let's say, for example, white people. White people, especially more on the conservative end, they felt very attacked by this because they were like, oh, everybody wants to jump off team white now because we're like viewed as evil and racist, huh? So Olivia, you're just joining the liberal media. We made you rich. We gave you this. We gave you that. We accepted you. You never said you were Asian till you were 18, and now you're trying to flip it on us like we were racist this whole time. Why did we make you rich then? What are you doing? You just joining the woke army versus the white army? You're a traitor. Well, guess what? You ain't gonna leave the team that easy.
Yo, it was like growing up in a household until you're 18 and then claiming independence. She is claiming independence from white people with this statement. Yeah, apparently.
A little bit. They were like, we were your adopted parents. We raised you. Now you're going to go back and go against us. Okay. By the way, guys, I'm joking, but that's...
Not all white people talk like that.
Yeah. It's essentially the truth in terms of how the conservative white media perceived this, right? And how they flipped it. The next reaction that was mixed was from Asians. Because from some Asians, they were like, oh, yeah, I'm happy. I'll take this representation. But other people were like, whoa. Olivia, you never said you were really Asian until you were like older. And here's the truth, actually. I looked into it. She's actually 3/8 Asian. Mm-hmm. She's not half. Her dad is 75% Asian. Her great-grandfather was full Asian from the Philippines, pretty dark-skinned. Had married a white woman, so her grandfather was half Filipino, but he married a full Filipino lady. So that makes her dad 75%. Her dad married a white woman. That makes her 37.5. So basically people were like, how are you going to do that to BTS? BTS has been struggling so much, getting called this word, that word, foreigners, ugly, hated. And then what? You just want to like steal the Asian mantle, but when you are like white passing?
Yeah, and as far as being Asian, I mean, she has acknowledged her Filipino roots, and there's pictures of her wearing like a cheongsam like back in the day. Like, so she has been clearly exposed to Asian culture, but
I think she's played some Asian roles in like Disney shows.
Yeah, she acknowledged her Asian roots, but has she really done anything for Asians? Has she really spoken up about it? Obviously,
she did not speak up about Asian hate.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people are just looking at the work and being like, I don't know, you haven't worked with enough Asian artists, you haven't put on anybody, so that's why it's in question, Olivia.
First of all, she's very young, she's 18, but I would like to ask her, who are some of your favorite Asian American artists, if you're so proud to be an Asian American artist?
Yeah.
To be honest, she might not know any, but she might, and who knows, she has time to grow. Anyway, moving on. Andrew, there was a split even in the African American Black Twitter community, because some people were like, whoa, you don't get to claim POC when you were white passing this whole time. Right. And some were like, dude, this is what Doja Cat does. This is what Chris Brown does. This is what Drake does. So some people were drawing, this is what Logic does.
When it's cool to be a minority, you're going to highlight it. Like this whole time, you kind of were white passing and you kind of just swept, you kept it low key. And then now you're like, hey, I'm not white.
Right. Some people said that this is what Halsey does. Who is also part African-American, but it's like really difficult to see it.
Well, some people see it as her trying to be trendy.
Right. And also have some sort of special status in the white world while maintaining the white passing card. Anyway, and then from Latin people or Hispanic people, they were just surprised. They were just like, hey, I thought she was one of us this whole time. I'm shocked. I'm blown away that Olivia Rodrigo is not on our team.
Well, to me, my message to white people is that, hey guys, listen, her name is Olivia Rodrigo. So she was never really going to be full white. She was either going to be Latina or Filipina. That was it. Those were the only two options.
I think on the white angle, something that's really interesting is a lot of people have different definitions of what's white. Like some people are like, it has to be Germanic, Anglo-Saxon, like Swedish, like blonde looking. But then some people extend their region of white all the way to the Mediterranean to like a very Sicilian Ariana Grande look, right. which can be very ethnically ambiguous. So, you know, Gina Gershon, or I don't even know. I don't want to have all these boomer references, but like, you know what I mean? Like basically there is a range of like white looks, but you know what's interesting is that white people do feel very, at least, you know, more on the conservative side, they feel very persecuted in 2021. So what do you think about them thinking that Olivia's like jumping ship off like, you were fine with it when the ship was going good, but now everybody says we're evil in 2021. You want off the boat, huh?
You know, I think she's a young person. And also, to be honest, like I said, her last name has been Rodrigo. So I just don't, that's not even a white name. She was going to be part Spanish for sure. Because, you know, like a lot of Filipinos have Spanish names. So I was like, there's just like, why are you surprised, I guess? But I think that what they're seeing is, oh, this young girl is like denouncing her whiteness. And I wouldn't say she's denouncing a guy. She's not turning her back, but she is identifying as a minority now.
Yeah, I do think there is a liberal trend against like, I guess what we consider like general Anglo whiteness. But I do think that they're identifying it, but I don't think that actually one thing that I've seen from white people is they're not identifying the reason behind it.
Yeah.
They're just like, I feel really persecuted and I didn't do anything. But I'm like, listen, guys, there probably is some reasoning behind it, right? So, but they're not trying to understand that reasoning.
They're like, wait, what? Olivia Rodrigo's not white anymore? We're losing them. We lost another one.
Right, but they're not examining maybe some sort of systemic reasoning behind it, which is interesting.
I think on the Filipino side, I can see that there is a large debate even amongst other Filipinos because Filipinos have a very mixed heritage, right? We all know that they can be anywhere from part Spanish to part Chinese to, you know, Ilocano,
Pacific Islander.
indigenous Pacific Islander,
or
is
even a lot
of different tribes. And I'm like, okay, so we all knew Filipinos growing up that looked different and had like Spanish last names, and they looked a little bit more white, and they looked a little bit more black, they looked a little bit more Chinese,
or even like Arabic last names.
Yeah, they have a whole swing. So I do think the way Filipinos like claim who is Filipino is different than a lot of other Asian groups because they have that history of colonization, and they're just more okay because in their country there are some Olivia Rodrigos, like the women who have represented the Philippines in beauty pageants in the past. They have looked part white or part Spanish.
Sometimes they're even from other countries.
Right. So,
or like, you know, they claim like Jalen Green or Jordan Clarkson, who I believe are fourth Filipino.
Right. So can she be Filipino? Listen, that is up to the Filipino community. I do think that she needs to talk to the Filipino media and give them that quote because I think she was talking to a like white-owned mainstream media saying that, you know, but she needs to talk to the in crowd.
What do you think about from the K-pop fans that are mad that she's sort of stealing like BTS's representational thunder?
Listen, I think that we had talked about that, like, ultimately anybody can claim whatever identity, right? And if the Filipinos want to claim her, that's fine. Now, as far as the larger Asian group claiming her and putting her up as the Asian artist that we have, the Asian queen, I think we got to see more work. I think that we got to put a little bit more responsibility on her and say, listen, Olivia, with the title, with the credit, with that pedestal that you're on, you're going to have to show up and do something with Paradise Rising, which is the Filipino arm of 88 Rising, or work with 88 Rising, or work with BTS, or work with Asian artists.
I think I would like to see the Happas, or in her case, you know, like in between a Quappa and a Happa, right? Like 3/8. You start to see that a lot more nowadays, by the way.
I think she's rounding up, by the way.
Yeah, the 37.5%.
She's rounding up to the half.
I got to see that they acknowledge that the full Asians have a different experience.
Right.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm 37.5%. I'm the Asian artist in the white world. I'm not saying she's doing that. But what about the 100 out of 100 percenters? We have a very different experience. And well, obviously, not being white passing, we are going to struggle more to get accepted than somebody who's half or 30% or whatever.
Listen, I'm sure that when she gave that quote, she did not know that it was going to spark this type of debate. Now, I don't know if she's tapped into whatever Twitter is saying, but I'll say this, and obviously, I don't know if she's going to see this, but she's got time. She's got time to prove and understand what it means to be Asian and to step up and do something about it. As you can see, there are some other mixed heritage celebrities that stepped up during like Stop Asian Hate. You know, I know Chloe Bennett for the long time because she changed her name to Bennett. She took out the Wang, and then there was some controversy with that. She did try to lead like a lot of stuff.
Chloe Bennett is another Hapa or 37.5, I'm not sure, that really doesn't look Asian.
Yeah. She doesn't.
Like white, very quote unquote white passing. Like I said, I don't use these terms. Yeah. I'm just taking them from Twitter.
Honestly, it didn't help that she dated one of the Paul brothers for a little bit. But anyways, regardless, you know, I think that there's a lot of time for Olivia. She's only 18. I'm sure she doesn't really understand, you know, racial dynamics that well. She's a Disney kid. So let's I'll cut her some slack in that sense.
I think on the African-American angle, like a lot of people were like, oh, why is she ignoring that these people existed? And actually the white media was trying to make that point too, saying, they accuse us of being racist, like I've been a big Aretha Franklin fan since like 1957. But actually, to me, Aretha Franklin, Rihanna, J-Lo, Selena, Beyonce, they're not really considered pop artists. If you look at the type of music Olivia Rodrigo makes, it's very quote unquote white Anglo wasp music. It's Taylor Swift. It's Avril Lavigne. It is not hip hop, soul, pop, R&B. There's different genres even within the pop artists. I got what Olivia Rodrigo was saying because it's true that like black female artists get considered more R&B or urban artists. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong because sometimes the music does sound different, but like that's what I thought that she meant. Right. I didn't really like fault her for that, but she should have probably clarified herself, which kind of speaks to your point. She was young, making some young comments.
Listen, I think that she's gonna grow from this.
What do you think about?
She doesn't know what she's saying.
What do you think about Latin people just going like, "Oh man, I thought she was just a white Latin artist."
Well, I think that is gonna happen. I mean, that happened with Ariana Grande. She's Italian, Sicilian, I think, or at least half Sicilian.
But kind of had a Latin sounding last name, which obviously Spanish and Italian all come from the Latin.
Is that even her real name? I'm not sure if Grande is her real name.
Like Grantissimo. Or
something like right. So she kind of takes on this Latin stage name. Olivia Rodrigo.
I just made that up, by the way. I just realized that people are gonna be mad about that Olivia Ariana Grande. I was joking. Grantissimo.
We don't know. But either way, like that was confusing for a lot of people. They thought she was Latin.
I think it really speaks to the point. It's almost like on the Latin artist side, you know, they always had like white passing artists like Shakira, Ricky Martin. I think J-Lo was the first one that really like did not look white, you know, because like if you guys know the history of Latin America is like very complicated. It's like tough to say how people.
And this comes to a larger conversation. I don't want to dive into it because I want to wrap this up. But if an artist is like on the edge, but they lean more into like the urban culture and like more black culture, like hip hop culture, that's gonna put them more in the colored and minority
lane. They got 808s just knocking in the.
And Jennifer Lopez did the song with Ja Rule, and she was a dancer on In Living Color. So she's from the BX. Like she's a minority. But there's other people like Aria. If Olivia Rodrigo just does like a certain type of music for the rest of her life, I
would say in a crazy way because the style of music was white people might consider Olivia Rodrigo whiter than Ariana Grande.
Which is interesting.
And I do think it goes to my final point and my final takeaway. I wish that society wasn't this way. Maybe we could all have our 23andMe results on our forehead and then how much we leaned into each specific slice of our 23andMe ratio pie. But at the end of the day, in 2021, even with the new technology, people are still going off the cultural perception and visual perception.
Right.
So that's why they categorize Ariana Grande almost as a borderline R&B artist, even though Ariana Grande technically is whiter than Olivia Rodrigo.
Yo. It is still based on how you look.
Yeah.
In 2020, people can't fight it. It's human nature. It's how you look. How you look is going to determine which tribes identify you as part of them.
I remember Miguel, the artist who's half black and half Mexican, even though he looks kind of Asian and Filipino himself. Like he probably looks more, I know a Filipino guy who looks like Miguel. Anyway, I'm saying that he actually was saying, even though I'm half black and half Mexican, which is two very marketable groups of people in music, because I kind of look weird or look like something people can't categorize, people thought it was hard to market me. So it kind of goes to show you, Andrew, would you agree with me? Does it kind of go back, unfortunately, still to this day, like I said, I'm not happy that it is this way, based off how you look rather than how you self-identify? Somebody talk to Logic. No, somebody asked Logic this question.
As we can see with a lot of other different identities in the world, it is based on how you look. So, guys, everybody, let us know in the comments down below what you think. Hit that like button. If you guys like these talks and these episodes, let us know because we got them coming.
Hey, Olivia Rodrigo, happy that you said you're Asian. I'd like you to do something.
Hey, you got some work to do, but you're young. You got time. Shout out to you. So everybody, let us know in the comments down below what you think. I know that this is sparking a large debate, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share this video if you found it helpful, if you found this discussion interesting. Guys, we are the Hot Pot Boys.
You guys, sometimes trivial topics can reveal serious macro issues.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. That's David and Andrew from the Funk Bros. Until next time, we out.
Peace.